This rivalry isn't just about speed, it's about legacy, dominance, and rewriting history. Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher are the two most decorated drivers in Formula One history, both with 7 world championships to their name. But the question remains, who is the true GOAT? Is it Schumacher, the driver who revolutionized race strategy and built Ferrari into an unstoppable force? Or is it Hamilton, the man who shattered records in the modern hybrid era, proving that consistency, adaptability, and precision could define success in a new age? Formula One has seen many champions, but only a few truly changed the sport. Schumacher came into F1 at a time when raw talent and aggressive racing were at the heart of the competition. His ruthless driving style, relentless work ethic, and unmatched ability to extract maximum performance from a car made him a phenomenon. He was known for his intense focus and willingness to take risks others wouldn't. Whether it was pulling off daring overtakes or setting blistering lap times in qualifying, Schumacher never settled for second best. On the other hand, Hamilton entered the sport as a young prodigy, immediately challenging the status quo. His journey from a karting sensation to an F1 superstar was rapid. While Schumacher was known for building his success over years of grinding, Hamilton proved he could win right from the start. In his rookie season, he nearly won the championship, something unheard of in the history of the sport. His ability to handle pressure, execute perfect race strategies, and master changing conditions made him a unique force. One of the biggest differences between these two legends is their adaptability. Schumacher excelled in an era when cars were unpredictable, refueling was a part of strategy, and traction control was banned at different points in his career. His ability to push a car to its absolute limit, even when conditions weren't ideal, gave him an edge over his rivals. His comeback drives, his dominance in wet conditions, and his tire management were second to none. Hamilton, however, mastered a completely different era, one where technology plays a crucial role. The hybrid engines introduced in 2014 changed F1 forever, making energy recovery systems, tire degradation management, and fuel efficiency key factors in winning races. Hamilton didn't just adapt, he dominated. While many struggled to adjust, he stayed ahead of the curve, using data, race intelligence, and raw talent to stay on top. He took on a new generation of challengers and remained unbeatable for years. Another key aspect of their greatness is how they performed under pressure. Schumacher was relentless in his pursuit of victory. He was known for his aggressive tactics, sometimes even pushing the limits of sportsmanship. His battles with Mika Häkkinen, Fernando Alonso, and Damon Hill were legendary. He would do whatever it took to win, whether it was blocking rivals on track, executing perfect pit strategies, or controlling the pace of a race from the front. Hamilton, however, has a different kind of mental strength. He doesn't just fight with pure aggression, he wins through calculated precision. His head-to-head battles with Nico Rosberg, Sebastian Vettel, and Max Verstappen showcased his ability to stay cool under immense pressure. Whether it was fighting from the back of the grid or making perfect overtakes in crucial moments, Hamilton showed a level of control that few drivers in history could match. Their influence on Formula One goes beyond just racing. Schumacher wasn't just a driver, he was a pioneer. His work at Ferrari, helping build them into a dominant force, showed his leadership off the track as well. Hamilton's impact is even more far-reaching. He became a global icon, breaking barriers as the first black F1 champion, and using his platform to promote diversity and equality in motorsports. His influence extends beyond just driving. He has inspired a new generation of racers and fans. So, when looking at greatness, the debate isn't just about statistics. It's about who redefined the sport. The question remains, who truly stands above the rest? If we don't settle this debate, we may never truly appreciate what defines greatness in Formula One. Comparing Schumacher and Hamilton isn't just about numbers. It's about two different eras, two different styles, and two different ways of achieving dominance. But why does this conversation matter so much? Because the way we judge greatness shapes how future champions will be viewed. Formula One isn't just about speed. It's about endurance, intelligence, and the ability to evolve with the sport. Schumacher's era was defined by high-revving V10 engines, unpredictable cars, and cutthroat racing strategies. His domination in the early 2000s wasn't just about driving skill, it was about reshaping how a team operated. Ferrari built a machine around him, perfecting pit stops, aerodynamics, and race execution. He set the bar so high that his records seemed untouchable. Then came Hamilton, proving that no record is truly unbeatable. F1 had changed dramatically by the time he hit his prime. Fuel efficiency, energy recovery systems, and hybrid engines transformed the sport into a more calculated game. Many great drivers struggled to keep up, but Hamilton didn't just adapt, he thrived. He mastered a sport where tire degradation, fuel management, and aerodynamic efficiency played as much of a role as pure speed. The stakes in this debate are higher than ever because it's not just about legacy, it's about evolution. Each era had its own challenges, but the fact that both drivers dominated so completely means their greatness cannot be ignored. There's also the question of longevity. Schumacher's first retirement in 2006 came after 5 straight titles with Ferrari, but his comeback with Mercedes in 2010 showed the difficulties of staying at the top. The sport had moved on, and even the greatest found it tough to return. Hamilton, on the other hand, has spent over 15 years at the top, consistently competing for championships and breaking records year after year. Does that longevity make him the superior driver? And what about competition? Schumacher had to battle against some of the best, Mika Häkkinen, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Räikkönen, but his most dominant years at Ferrari were often marked by minimal competition. Hamilton, however, faced fierce rivals throughout his career, from Sebastian Vettel's dominance with Red Bull to the intense rivalry with Nico Rosberg and the rising threat of Max Verstappen. The fact that he maintained his level despite these constant challenges adds another layer to his greatness. One of the biggest factors in determining the greatest Formula One driver of all time is their driving style. The way a driver approaches a race, handles the car, and reacts under pressure defines their legacy. Schumacher mastered late braking, using every bit of grip available to gain an advantage. His ability to defend his position and overtake in high-pressure situations made him one of the most feared drivers on the grid. He didn't hesitate to make bold moves, sometimes even controversial ones. He was the kind of driver who would take risks that others wouldn't dare. And more often than not, those risks paid off. A perfect example of this was the 1995 Belgian Grand Prix, where Schumacher, driving on worn tires in the rain, managed to hold off Damon Hill's much faster Williams. His control in slippery conditions, his ability to anticipate rival moves, and his skill in defending his lead showed why he was so dominant. This race was just one of many where Schumacher proved that his raw pace and mental strength could overcome even the toughest challenges. On the other hand, Hamilton has an exceptional ability to manage tires, which is crucial in modern F1, where tire degradation plays a major role. His style is smooth, efficient, and incredibly consistent. Rather than forcing a risky overtake, Hamilton often waits for the perfect moment, using strategy and patience to his advantage. Over the years, Hamilton has had to adjust to different regulations, changing car designs, and new challengers. Despite all these changes, he has remained at the top, something very few drivers in history have managed to do. A great example of this was the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix, where Hamilton won despite starting from 6th on the grid and driving on worn intermediate tires. While others struggled, he controlled his pace, preserved his tires, and executed a flawless race strategy. Another key difference between the two is how they handle wet weather racing. Schumacher was often called the Rainmaster because of his ability to dominate in wet conditions. His famous 1996 Spanish Grand Prix drive, where he won in a Ferrari that was clearly slower than the competition, is still considered one of the greatest wet weather performances in history. Hamilton, however, is no stranger to rain mastery either. His 2008 British Grand Prix victory, where he won by over a minute in torrential rain, is proof of his own wet weather brilliance. Schumacher was aggressive in his duels, sometimes pushing the boundaries of fair play. His clashes with Damon Hill in 1994 and Jacques Villeneuve in 1997 are proof of his win-at-all-costs mentality. He was willing to make bold moves, even if they were controversial. Hamilton, in contrast, is a cleaner racer, relying on race intelligence rather than brute force. His battles with Max Verstappen in 2021 showcased his ability to pick his fights wisely. While Verstappen often took aggressive lines, Hamilton played the long game, knowing when to attack and when to avoid unnecessary risks. His racecraft has allowed him to consistently finish races while others get caught in incidents. Ultimately, their driving styles reflect their personalities. So, which style is superior? Schumacher's aggressive, never-give-up mentality led to incredible performances and legendary drives. Hamilton's precise, adaptable approach allowed him to stay at the top longer than anyone else in the modern era. Numbers don't lie. When discussing the greatest Formula One driver of all time, statistics provide a clear way to measure dominance. Schumacher and Hamilton have rewritten the record books in their respective eras, but how do their achievements truly compare? Who holds the edge when we break down their career stats? Both Schumacher and Hamilton are tied with 7 titles each, the most in history. Schumacher won his first 2 championships with Benetton in 1994 and 1995, before launching Ferrari into an era of complete dominance, winning 5 consecutive titles from 2000 to 2004. Hamilton, on the other hand, won his first title with McLaren in 2008 before joining Mercedes, where he secured 6 more between 2014 and 2020. Next, let's look at race wins. Schumacher once held the all-time record with 91 victories, a number that seemed impossible to beat. but Hamilton surpassed him in 2020. However, raw wins alone don't tell the full story. Schumacher competed in 308 races, giving him a win percentage of about 29.5%, while Hamilton has raced in 329-plus races with a win rate of 31.3%. Despite racing in more Grand Prix events, Hamilton has maintained a slightly better success rate. Pole positions further highlight Hamilton's edge in qualifying speed. Schumacher retired with 68 pole positions, once an F1 record, but Hamilton shattered that record and now holds 104-plus poles. But dominance isn't just about starting first, it's about setting the fastest race times. Schumacher holds 77 fastest laps, more than Hamilton's 65-plus, proving that Schumacher was often the quickest man on the track during races. Now, let's talk about podium finishes. Schumacher stood on the podium 155 times, while Hamilton has over 191-plus podiums, extending his record. Schumacher, however, achieved his numbers in a much more unpredictable era, where reliability issues and mechanical failures were common. While statistics provide valuable insights, they can't capture everything. So, the question remains, does breaking records make Hamilton the greatest? Or does Schumacher's ability to dominate an entire era set him apart? The numbers are close, but the answer depends on how you define greatness. Beyond statistics, beyond driving styles, what truly defines greatness in Formula One is legacy. Schumacher and Hamilton both left an undeniable mark on F1, but in very different ways. One built a dynasty, reshaped the sport's competitive landscape, and introduced new training methods. The other broke records, redefined consistency, and used his platform to bring change beyond the racetrack. But whose impact is greater? Before Schumacher, no driver had revolutionized a team quite like he did with Ferrari. When he joined the Scuderia in 1996, Ferrari was struggling. They hadn't won a championship in nearly 2 decades, and internal instability kept them from challenging for titles. Schumacher didn't just bring speed, he brought an entire philosophy of success. His influence extended beyond the cockpit. He was involved in car development, pit stop strategies, and even the hiring of key personnel. Schumacher also transformed driver fitness and preparation. Before him, F1 drivers weren't known for extreme physical conditioning. Unlike Schumacher, who dominated mainly in one era, Hamilton has remained competitive in multiple F1 eras: V8s, turbo hybrid, and ground effect aerodynamics. Hamilton expanded his influence beyond F1. He has been a vocal advocate for diversity, equality, and environmental issues, pushing the sport to become more inclusive. His efforts led to initiatives like We Race as One, aimed at increasing diversity in motorsport. One thing is certain, both drivers changed Formula One in ways no one else ever has. Their legacies will be debated for years, but in the end, the sport is richer because of both of them. So after all the comparisons, driving styles, statistics, legacy, who is the real GOAT of Formula One? It all depends on how you define greatness. If dominance in an era, raw speed, and team leadership make a driver the best, Schumacher holds the edge. But if sustained excellence, adaptability, and breaking records define the greatest of all time, then Hamilton takes the crown. Maybe in the end, the greatest question in F1 will never have one single answer. Instead, Schumacher and Hamilton will stand together as the 2 greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. One shaping the past, the other defining the future.